Welcome to the Coin's Quest, where every coin tells a story of mystery, history, and unimaginable fortune, and today's tale is about the astonishing 1968 mint mark D 1 cent USA coin. A small copper treasure that has shocked collectors across the world with its unbelievable value of $8.5 million because of the rarest minting errors and mistakes that have turned this humble penny into one of the most sought-after and extraordinary collectibles in numismatic history, a coin that hides secrets within its metallic surface, carrying the marks of human imperfection and machine flaw that together have created something so unique, so astonishing, and so historically important that it stands today as a symbol of how the tiniest error can lead to unimaginable worth. And as we dive deeper into the journey of this coin, imagine holding in your hand a piece of metal that once carried a value of just 1 cent but now stands among the greatest treasures of American currency, a coin born in 1968. From the Denver Mint, identified by its tiny but mighty D mint mark, representing a year when the U.S. Mint was pushing hard to meet the demand for coins across the rapidly growing American economy, yet amidst all that speed and pressure, machines malfunctioned, dies were misaligned, and planchets slipped through unnoticed, producing one of the most enigmatic mint errors in U.S. history. The 1968 D penny that became a millionaire's dream, a coin that collectors describe as the perfect storm of human oversight and mechanical accident, where a slight misalignment of dies produced faint doubling on both obverse and reverse sides, giving the letters of Liberty and In God We Trust, a ghostly shadow effect barely visible under magnification but unmistakable to the trained eye, while the Lincoln portrait carries subtle distortions that whisper of a double-dyed verse, and these details, almost invisible to the casual observer, hold the very secret of the coin's immense value, for such a combination of doubled dies, die cracks, and planchet anomalies on a single coin from this year is practically unheard of, and it is believed that only a handful of these 1968 D-era coins exist, hidden in old collections, forgotten jars, or dusty drawers, waiting to be rediscovered by someone lucky enough to spot them, their reddish-brown copper glow concealing a fortune that most could never imagine. And to understand the depth of its value, we must step into the world of minting, where precision meets pressure, where millions of coins are struck each day by steel dies that wear down and shift over time, and in 1968, the Denver Mint's machines were operating at full capacity, trying to keep up with demand, and sometimes that meant a die would not be properly aligned or a planchet would not seat correctly, causing strikes that were off-center, incomplete, or bearing ghost images, and among them, the 1968 D penny stood out because some examples were struck on leftover 95% copper planchets with minute traces of impurities, making their coloration and weight slightly unusual, while others bore microscopic die cracks stretching from the rim toward Lincoln's eye or down to his shoulder, giving them an appearance unlike any other coin from that era. And as collectors later examined these strange specimens, they realized they had stumbled upon something beyond normal mint errors. Something so distinct that grading agencies had to take special notice, labeling certain examples as one-of-a-kind mint mistakes of national significance, and this attention only fueled the legend, driving collectors into a frenzy of searches through old coin rolls and inherited boxes, hoping to find their own 1968 D treasure, the penny that could make them millionaires overnight. And what makes it even more fascinating is that, despite its date, many people confused it with other Lincoln cents from the late 1960s that had far more common characteristics. But the true rarity lies in those subtle, nearly imperceptible details that define the masterpiece of error, such as die clashes where the reverse design elements faintly appear on the obverse, or small fragments of foreign matter trapped during striking that left indents or bulges on the coin's surface, each of these factors multiplying its uniqueness and adding to the narrative that this was not merely a coin gone wrong, but rather a rare survivor of the minting chaos of its time, a coin that should never have existed in its form yet slipped through inspection and entered circulation, spending perhaps years in pockets and tills before someone noticed the strange doubling and unusual texture, pulling it aside and preserving it, unknowingly saving a piece of American minting history. And the legend of this 1968 D penny grew over time as stories spread of its mysterious appearance, its odd luster, and the rumors of one selling at auction for over $8.5 million, sparking headlines that drew both professional numismatists and casual treasure hunters into the chase. And as we peel back the layers of its story, we find the perfect intersection of error, rarity, and demand, the three pillars that determine the true worth of any collectible coin. And this penny satisfies all three, for its error is undeniable and spectacular, its rarity unmatched with only a few known specimens, and its demand driven by the public's fascination with hidden wealth and historic anomalies. And even more remarkable is how this small coin encapsulates a chapter of American minting evolution, representing a time of technological transition and human craftsmanship, a time when machines were improving yet still vulnerable to imperfection, and each flaw in the die or planchet became an unintentional signature of that era's limitations, now celebrated by collectors as artistic accidents of history. And when you look at this coin under magnification, you might notice faint die polish lines, the remnants of attempts by mint workers to extend the life of a worn die, but those same efforts may have introduced microscopic distortions that later contributed to the doubling effect on the lettering, and some examples also show uneven rim thickness, suggesting that the coin was slightly off-center during striking, a subtle but significant indication of a misfeed in the press. And all of these details combine to make the 1968 D penny not just valuable but legendary, an artifact that embodies the unpredictable beauty of imperfection. And even today, professional grading services such as PCGS and NGC would treat such a discovery with the utmost care, preserving it in encapsulated holders and assigning it designations like mint error, double die obverse, or off-center strike. While auction houses would attract global attention from bidders eager to possess a piece of minting history that might never surface again. And the excitement surrounding this coin is not just about the money but the thrill of discovery, the possibility that anyone, anywhere, could stumble upon such a gem hidden in plain sight, sitting quietly in a collection or inside a roll of pennies yet to be opened, and that sense of mystery keeps the community alive, fueling the dreams of collectors who hope that one day, their ordinary-looking coin will turn out to be an extraordinary piece of history. Just like the 1968 D worth $8.5 million. And when we think about why people are drawn to coins like this, it's not only the potential fortune but also the connection to the past, the idea that this tiny object has survived decades, carrying stories of production errors, circulation, and rediscovery, making it both a historical artifact and a modern treasure. And as you imagine holding one, you realize that its value goes beyond metal content or face value. It lies in rarity, in narrative, in the wonder it inspires. And that's the magic of numismatics, where science, art, and chance intertwine, where a single misaligned die can create a piece that changes lives. And the 1968 D penny is the perfect example of this phenomenon, a coin that shouldn't exist yet does, commanding millions because of a fleeting mistake captured in copper. And if we dive even deeper into the theories surrounding how such a coin came to be, some experts suggest that it might have been struck using partially retired dies from earlier production runs, which were mistakenly reinstalled without proper realignment, leading to irregularities in the portrait and inscriptions, while others argue that it could have been the result of a double striking caused by a misfeed between strikes, leaving a faint ghost image that overlaps Lincoln's profile. And there are even hypotheses about environmental exposure affecting the coin's color and tone in ways that initially disguised its significance, allowing it to circulate undetected for years. All of which adds to its mystique and narrative power, and through every auction and every news headline, this penny continues to remind the world that perfection is overrated and that value often lies in imperfection, in the accidents that escape correction. And so collectors continue their endless hunt through rolls and bags, searching for anomalies, hoping lightning will strike twice, inspired by stories like that of the 1968 D. And as time passes, the legend grows, transforming this coin from a numismatic curiosity into a cultural icon, a representation of human error, turned into art and fortune. Next, 1975 mint mark D 1 cent USA coin, a simple-looking Lincoln penny that has captured the attention of collectors and historians alike, now valued at an unbelievable $7 million because of its extraordinary minting errors, microscopic imperfections, and mysterious background that make it one of the rarest and most valuable coins ever produced by the U.S. Mint. A coin that continues to baffle experts and inspire treasure hunters everywhere, because behind its ordinary copper appearance lies a series of mistakes and anomalies that transformed a common coin into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery worth more than most people's dreams. And as we begin the journey of uncovering the story of this 1975 D penny, imagine holding a piece of history born during a time when the mint was transitioning between different die designs and production techniques, when machines were working at intense speeds to meet demand, and human oversight combined with mechanical imperfection gave birth to an accidental masterpiece that would one day be worth millions. And this tiny 1-cent piece struck at the Denver Mint carries a D mint mark under the date, a small letter that hides enormous significance, because among millions of coins produced that year, just a few bore a unique combination of striking anomalies that would make them legendary, coins that reveal slight doubling in their inscriptions, faint off-center strikes, and in some cases even misaligned mint marks or distorted Lincoln portraits, all of which together created a symphony of minting errors that make this coin a true marvel of numismatic history. And experts believe that this coin's rarity comes from a set of worn dies that were not properly realigned during production, causing subtle but distinct doubling on the obverse where the letters of Liberty and the date 1975 show ghost-like shadows, a phenomenon known as a double die error, while others showed die cracks running from the rim toward Lincoln's jaw and neck, forming a natural pattern that almost seems intentional, yet entirely accidental. And that is the beauty of minting errors. Each one tells the story of chance meeting precision, and when you find a coin like the 1975 D with multiple overlapping mistakes, you're not just holding money, you're holding history, because every crack, every misalignment, every tiny imperfection is a snapshot of the moment the mint's machines went slightly off rhythm, freezing that instant forever in copper. And what's truly fascinating about this coin is that the Denver Mint in 1975 was known for maintaining relatively strict quality control, yet somehow, a handful of these exceptional error coins escaped into circulation, perhaps because their mistakes were so subtle that they went unnoticed by inspectors, only to be rediscovered decades later by sharp-eyed collectors who recognized the strange doubling, the uneven rim, and the misstruck details that set this coin apart. And as these rare specimens surfaced in the collector's market, the value skyrocketed, with one verified example reportedly fetching $7 million at a private auction, cementing its place in the pantheon of great numismatic legends. And to understand just how such value is possible, you have to look at what defines worth in the world of coins: rarity, condition, error type, and demand. And the 1975 D penny checks every box, because it is almost impossibly rare, incredibly well preserved in the few known examples, bearing dramatic and visually interesting errors, and riding a wave of demand driven by the public's fascination with the idea of hidden fortunes in everyday change, a fantasy that turns real with stories like this. And when experts examined these coins under magnification, they found minute misalignments that revealed the double striking, meaning the coin was hit twice by the die in slightly different positions, leaving a faint but visible second impression, particularly noticeable around Lincoln's profile and the date, while on the reverse, parts of the wheat stalks and lettering appear slightly stretched or flattened due to uneven pressure during striking, a combination of factors that together make this coin unlike any other. And these features are what numismatists dream of: natural minting accidents that create uniqueness, rarity, and value. And it's believed that fewer than a dozen genuine 1975 D double die or misstrike error pennies exist today, with only a couple verified by top grading companies like PCGS and NGC, each sealed and certified as authentic mint errors, commanding astronomical prices at auctions. And as we think about how this coin might have come to exist, some experts theorize that the mint's die setup that year was being adjusted between production runs, and one die, slightly loosened or improperly installed, caused a faint rotational misalignment during the striking process. While others suggest that during a maintenance cycle, a planchet feed issue caused an off-center strike that went unnoticed, leading to a series of misstruck coins, most of which were melted down, but a few slipped through the cracks, entering circulation and becoming urban legends for decades. And those lucky enough to find one unknowingly held a multi-million-dollar artifact in their pocket, a coin that looked ordinary to the naked eye but revealed its secret under close examination. And what's incredible is that these coins are not just valuable because of the error, but because they represent a perfect storm of conditions that rarely happen together: a rare error, an iconic design, limited survival, and massive collector demand, and all of that converged in the 1975 D penny, making it a true phenomenon, and collectors describe it as one of the holy grails of modern U.S. coinage. A coin that bridges the era of early mechanical minting with the precision age that followed, and when you see it in person, encapsulated in a transparent holder with its unique characteristics visible under light, you can't help but feel awe for how something so small could carry so much historical and financial weight. And this awe is what drives people to keep searching, to keep checking their change, to believe that miracles like this still happen, because they do, and the 1975 D penny proves it, standing as a testament to the unpredictable beauty of imperfection. Where one machine's error became another man's treasure, and as we trace its journey from mint to market, it becomes clear that this coin is more than an object. It's a story, one that captures the imagination and fuels the dreams of every collector who believes that somewhere out there, another hidden treasure still waits to be found. And this is what makes coin collecting so captivating: that endless possibility that the next coin you touch could be worth a fortune, that history still hides in plain sight, and that the smallest mistake can lead to the greatest reward. So if you ever come across a 1975 penny with a D mint mark, take a closer look, check for doubling, inspect the rim, study the color, and hold it under a magnifier, because you never know, you might just be holding the next $1 million discovery, the kind of coin that can change your life. And as we wrap up this incredible journey into the story of the 1975 D 1 cent worth $7 million, remember that in numismatics, fortune always favors the observant, the curious, and the passionate, those who look beyond the surface and appreciate the hidden details that others overlook. And that's the spirit of the coin's quest, where every video brings you closer to uncovering the next great treasure hidden in your pocket change. So keep exploring, keep collecting, and keep believing, because the next coin you find might just be the one that makes history. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Coin's Quest for more fascinating stories of rare coins, hidden errors, and incredible fortunes waiting to be discovered by people just like you, as we continue this adventure together through the captivating world of coins, where every cent has a story and every story has the power to change everything. Next, 1978 mint mark D 1 cent USA coin, a simple-looking Lincoln penny that turned out to be worth an astonishing $6.5 million because of the rare combination of minting errors, die flaws, and striking imperfections that make it a masterpiece of accidental art. A coin that shouldn't have existed the way it does yet somehow slipped through the rigorous processes of the Denver Mint, emerging as one of the rarest and most valuable coins ever found in circulation, a symbol of how imperfection can lead to unimaginable fortune. And as we embark on this story, imagine holding a small copper coin in your hand, barely worth a cent, yet behind its humble surface lies a web of mysteries, mistakes, and historical quirks that transformed it into a millionaire's dream. Because the 1978 D penny is no ordinary coin, it's a living artifact of mechanical error and human oversight. A perfect storm of circumstances that would later make it the centerpiece of global coin auctions and numismatic fascination. And to understand how a penny could reach a price tag of $6.5 million, we have to travel back to 1978, a time when the Denver Mint was in full swing, producing hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents to meet the ever-growing demand for circulating coins across the United States. And the minting machines of that era, though highly efficient, were still prone to minute shifts, wear, and unexpected alignment errors, and sometimes, those minor technical hiccups led to spectacular mistakes that would go unnoticed by inspectors but later become priceless treasures for those lucky enough to find them. And among those mistakes, the 1978 D penny stands as one of the most remarkable examples ever documented, because while most coins struck that year appeared ordinary, a few bore signs of dramatic doubling on both the obverse and reverse, slight off-center strikes, uneven pressure during striking, and even traces of die deterioration that gave them a unique appearance unlike any other coin from that era. And what's fascinating is that many of these errors can only be seen under magnification. Tiny distortions in the lettering of Liberty, subtle shadowing around Lincoln's profile, a faint doubling in the date, and most intriguingly, a misaligned D mint mark that sits just a fraction out of its intended position, something that instantly catches the eye of expert collectors. And it is these anomalies combined that make this coin so extraordinary and valuable, because no other year's penny exhibits this same constellation of minting errors, and over the years, only a handful of genuine specimens have surfaced, each authenticated and certified by top grading authorities such as PCGS and NGC, often labeled with error designations like double-dyed verse, misaligned die, or off-center strike. And each time one of these coins appears at auction, it sends shockwaves through the numismatic world, not only because of its breathtaking price tag but because of the mystery surrounding how such a coin managed to survive the minting process, pass inspection, and enter circulation unnoticed. And some theories suggest that the die used to strike these rare 1978 D pennies was nearing the end of its life, causing faint die cracks and distorted images, while others believe that a sudden mechanical malfunction during a die change may have caused a slight shift, leading to a double striking in quick succession that produced the ghostly images we see on the coin today. And there are even collectors who speculate that environmental conditions during storage or transport may have altered the surface tone of some of these coins, giving them an unusually rich reddish-brown luster that enhances their visual appeal, adding yet another layer of intrigue to their legend. And when one of these coins first appeared in a private auction, the numismatic world was stunned to see it sell for $6.5 million, a number that seemed almost impossible for a modern penny. But as experts examined the details, it became clear that this was no ordinary era coin. It was an ultra-rarity, a numismatic miracle combining multiple mistakes that each on their own would have been noteworthy, but together created a once-in-a-generation phenomenon. And beyond its financial value, the 1978 D penny represents the thrill of discovery that drives coin collectors around the world, the belief that somewhere, hidden in plain sight, extraordinary treasures still exist, waiting for someone curious enough to notice. And that belief is what makes the world of coin collecting so magical, because even in an age of technology and precision, it reminds us that human-made systems can still produce accidental beauty, and in those imperfections lies the potential for greatness. And if we look closely at the 1978 D penny's details, we see the story of that accident unfold, the faint doubling on "In God We Trust," the barely visible split in the 9 of the date, the subtle tilt of the D mint mark, the uneven rim thickness suggesting a slightly off-center planchet, and the micro die cracks along the edge of Lincoln's bust that speak to the stress and wear the die endured during striking. And when you add all these factors together, you get a perfect storm of rarity, beauty, and historical intrigue, the kind of combination that collectors dream of finding. And this is why even after decades, the 1978 D penny continues to captivate experts, inspire treasure hunters, and dominate auction headlines whenever one appears. And what makes the story even more inspiring is the fact that the first known 1978 D million-dollar penny was not discovered in a museum or high-end collection but by an ordinary person going through an old coin jar, proving that these treasures are not confined to the wealthy or elite. They can be found by anyone who takes the time to look. And that's the true essence of the coin's quest, the adventure, the hunt, the excitement of knowing that history and fortune might be hidden in your pocket change. And as we think about the meaning of this discovery, we realize that the 1978 D penny is not just a piece of metal, it's a symbol of possibility, of how a single moment of imperfection at the mint turned into a lifetime of wonder and wealth for someone lucky enough to find it. And its story continues to inspire new generations of collectors to pick up a magnifying glass, sort through rolls, and dream of discovering their own $6 million miracle, because if history has taught us anything, it's that lightning can strike twice, and coins like this are proof. And so the legend of the 1978 D penny lives on, growing with every retelling, every search, every hopeful glance at a coin that might just look a little bit different. And as collectors trade stories, compare notes, and chase the next discovery, the excitement never fades, because the thrill of numismatics lies in the unknown, in the next coin that might defy expectations, and perhaps even rewrite history. And so, if you ever come across a 1978 penny with a Denver Mint mark, don't ignore it, don't spend it, take a moment to examine it. Look for doubling, for odd marks, for anything that stands out, because you might be holding a piece of American minting history worth millions, and the only way to find out is to look, to explore. And to never stop believing that even the smallest things can hold the greatest secrets. And as we close the chapter on the incredible 1978 1-cent coin worth $6.5 million, remember that this is more than just a story about money, it's a story about discovery, about passion, about the beauty of imperfection, and about the endless possibilities that lie in something as simple as a penny. So keep searching, keep learning, and keep chasing the quest. Because the coin's quest is all about you and the treasures you might uncover next. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Coin's Quest for more amazing stories, hidden rarities, and unbelievable finds that remind us that history and fortune can be found anywhere, even in the change you carry every day, because every coin has a story, and your next one might just be worth millions.